Daryl Johnston, Executive Vice President of Football Operations for the United States Football League. He's going to make an opening statement and then take a few questions, and then that'll wrap up our press conference for today.
How's everybody doing? It was funny. We were back in January. We had our head coaches group together for the first time out at the Fox Studios, and at that time, it was brought to our attention that the World Games in Birmingham was trying to move up a little bit with their scheduling process. So we probably weren't going to be able to finish our season in Birmingham through the playoffs, and all of a sudden the idea of Canton came up. And it's just one of those things that sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. And for us to be able to finish our first season here in the birthplace of the Professional Football Hall of Fame is such an honor. And it was so fun on Friday, watching a lot of not just our players, but there were several coaches that had never been here before to Canton, Ohio, and been in the museum and saw all the history of professional football. And so that was something very, very special. We've been trying to kind of make this a celebration for the guys, as much as it is kind of their playoff opportunity. We wanted to say thank you to them, as well as the coaches and the staffs and everybody that's been a part of this journey. It's been a heavy lift, and to see where we were when we got to Birmingham on March 22nd and started onboarding our players and going to training camp, and to where we were last weekend was an amazing accomplishment by a lot of hardworking people that love this game. So if you're around me enough, you'll hear me use the word teammate with reverence, and we are very blessed to have a lot of really, really good teammates in the USFL family, trying to make this league successful, sustainable, and to provide these guys an opportunity to chase whatever that dream is, whether it's trying to get back into the NFL, whether it's just to continue to play the game that they love, whatever their why is, we want to try and help them accomplish that feat. So just like Coach Andrus said, we knew we weren't going to be our best in week 1. We wanted to be our best in week 10. I think we accomplished that goal as a league, and I think we carried it through the first round of the playoffs. So I'm really, really excited to see Philadelphia and Birmingham play in the championship game next Sunday. So it's been a fantastic journey to this point, and I know that we're going to close it out on a very, very high note. So,
Daryl, could you just tell, what would you say what people are going to remember the most about this all-around experience about the USFL, or what people are going to remember years from now, putting this all together, the playing at the Hall of Fame, or what would be like the one thing people are going to remember most about this all-around experience?
I think the biggest thing, and we've made this known to the players from day one, is it's all about them. This league will be driven by the quality of the football that's played, and the quality of the football played is directly related to the players. So we have been player-oriented from day one, and have done everything we possibly can to make sure that we were addressing any needs that they had. And, from week 1 with our kickers and quarterbacks coming to us with some pretty good information that the sensor in the football was impacting, how the ball was flying, the flight, the trajectory when they punted and kicked it. Some of the quarterbacks, as it came off their hands, didn't feel like it stayed true as a spiral. So, we listened to them. We looked at the evidence they presented to us, and then we made an adjustment in week 2, and we brought in the kicking ball. We had a rule change by Jeff Fisher during the course of the season. If you make the wrong decision on a PAT, can you burn a timeout and change your mind? At first we wouldn't let you change your mind, but Jeff has been such a great asset for us, because I don't know if anybody knows the rules and the loopholes in the rules as well as Jeff Fisher does. So he's been a huge plus for us to be in this league. He brings credibility, experience, and then just the expansion of the rosters. With Fox and the USFL, understanding that it's going to be an expense, but it was a necessary expense to incur. And again, it was directly related to our players. We were coming into the hot part of summer down in Alabama, and our guys were already tired. And it was great because it was Mike Riley who actually really solidified the opportunity to do this because Mike doesn't complain about anything. And Mike said, hey, last weekend, 6 of my 7 practice squad guys, inactive guys, were injured. I only had one guy that would have been able to play if he could. So we need to get some more people here if we can. And so at that point, we made the decision to expand the rosters. So that's another reason we want the guys in our league to know that we're going to bring in the best coaches that are going to try to find out exactly why it is you haven't been able to stay in the NFL, and maybe we can help you fix that and get you back to the NFL, but stay there and potentially play for 2, 3, 4 years. If you just love this game, we'd love to have you be a part of that as we move forward. So that's the thing that I want everybody to remember most about this league. It was player driven, and the biggest compliment that we can get is for our guys to say, I haven't had this much fun playing football since I was in high school. Because to me, that's when this game is at its purest, is back at the high school level.
Daryl, you had the opportunity to connect with former coach Jimmy Johnson at the Hall of Fame on Friday, unveiling the Lombardi Trophy and then speaking to all of the players. Could you just tell me a little bit about how connecting with him in those moments sort of contributed to what you were talking about earlier with sort of making this a celebration for the players?
I wanted somebody that would make an impact on him, and it was actually Eric Shanks who said, why don't you call Coach? I mean that's his wheelhouse. But I just, at this time of year, I know Jimmy's down in the Keys and he's fishing and he's relaxing and taking some time off before the NFL season starts. So it was a big ask to bring him from the Keys up to here. And he's like, no, absolutely. I'd love to come up. That's one of the things that I really, really enjoy is having an opportunity to visit with younger players and try and share with them, some of the things that I feel are important. And his messaging could not have been any better. I mean, any better, because it's all the stuff that we've been talking to the guys about all season long, whether it's us at the league level that have experience in the different leagues, whether it's the coaching staffs talking to them. And it gets away from football. It gets away from some of the X's and O's and the performance on the field, and it gets into other areas. And Jimmy's best thing was, I weight things differently. My scale doesn't sit here. My scale sits here. And this is the guy that works hard and take notes and is on time, and I can count on him to do everything, and he's got a tremendous work ethic. This guy doesn't work as hard as he should, is late, has missed assignments because he doesn't pay attention in the meetings. And I'm not going to have as much patience with him. So it was good for them to hear that you're not treated equally. You earn how you're valued by your team. And at the very end, one of the guys raised his hand on the final question and said, Coach, as an evaluator and a builder of teams, what would you be looking for from the players here in the USFL? And Jimmy said, well, I'm going to be able to watch you on film, and I'm going to be able to evaluate that. And that's going to get you the opportunity to maybe get that next step, but to get there, I'm going to call some of the coaches you played for. I'm going to talk to some of your teammates. I'm going to find out all these things that adjust that scale. And does he have a great work ethic? Is he on time? Does he not make mistakes on the football field? Does he love this game? Will he work through adversity well? So Jimmy's going to go out and he's going to gather all this information from the people that know the player intimately and then make the decision. So it was great for them to hear, you may be the greatest athlete on your team. God blessed you with unbelievable gifts to be able to play this game. But if you're deficient in other areas, you're not going to make it. And that's one of the things that we talked about is not just getting the guys back to the NFL, but making sure they stay there and get a year or 2 years or 3 years of an NFL salary. And sometimes it's these little things that they're lacking because the NFL has no patience. They move on to the next guy. There's a lot of really good football players out there. And if you don't have the total package in the NFL, they're not going to wait for you. Down here, we're going to help you develop that so we can get up there so you're not in that situation the next time you get that opportunity.
Daryl, how do you look for the player development angle of the league taking a step forward into next year? How do you look at it how do you see it as an opportunity, as a way of, for the next season, expanding upon that philosophy?
Yeah, I think the big thing for us is how much further down the road we're going to be day one of year 2, and how can we make that starting point a little bit further down the road? If you go back and look at our season through the first 4 or 5 weeks, The offenses were behind the defenses. We were not playing all that great. Our quarterback play wasn't at the level that I had hoped it would be with the people that we had in this league. And there was a reason for that. And it's because our rosters were so small, we were asking everybody to do so much at practice. When you're doing your offensive drills, are you really going full speed? Can you go full speed? Because you're going to have to turn around and run the scout team for the defense. You're going to be on special teams during that component. So I think that we were seeing the results of the inability for our teams to practice at full speed and get their timing down. Once we expanded the rosters, it directly correlated to an uptick in how the offenses and the quarterbacks especially were playing. That's because I think our practice tempo picked up, our timing improved. We were able to take some reps off of some of our guys. I heard a lot of coaches say, in the fourth quarter, we just died. We didn't have legs. We didn't have any legs in the fourth quarter. They were running past us. Our secondaries on all of our special teams. Their wide receivers weren't. Now, maybe that's a strategic approach by some of the other coaches in the league. But I remember that from one of our teams specifically, that we were in the game until the last 5 minutes and we had nothing. We just had nothing left in the tank. So I think that's what we saw the second half of the season. Now, wanting all of them to come back and be a part of year two, and hopefully doing some different things with roster expansion again and getting some more legs in there, having the ability to meet remotely, during the course of the offseason and push those offenses and push those defenses a little bit further down the road. When we come into training camp, I'm hoping that where we are in year two compared to where we were in year one is completely different. And then we can just really hit the ground running. And then again, we can go back and revisit some of these guys from the 2022 draft class. It was the largest draft class in the history of the NFL with draftable grades on them. They're still out there. We need to get those guys into the USFL. What is going to be the impact of salary cap issues with younger guys coming up? Are some of the kind of that middle class of the NFL, is the salaries have escalated for years 1, 2, and 3 in the NFL? Are they pushing the cap numbers? And all of a sudden there's some quality guys with NFL experience that are now available to come to our league. So there's a lot of different areas that we feel excited about in year two. And it's up to us now to go out and work as hard as we did in year one to make sure that we keep pushing that forward.
Are there any questions here in the room? Okay.
Hey, Daryl, you mentioned before how you hope the USFL can give players a second chance to play the game they love and to maybe get back into the NFL or get into the NFL for the first time. And a lot of major leagues, hockey and baseball, basketball, they have affiliations with minor leagues. Have you ever thought, or has USFL ever pursued an official relationship with the NFL in that kind of sense?
No, I think that we want to be a standalone professional football league. I understand what baseball and basketball have in place there. What hockey has in place. We don't want to be considered that moving forward. We want to be more an alternative route for you to get back to the NFL, a non-traditional route to get to the NFL coming out of the draft. We're not going to compete with the NFL. We know that. But we also don't want to just be considered a developmental league for the NFL. For us, we do know that we have to have a relationship with the NFL. And we've had that in year one. We're doing work with them on our special teams units, to implement some rules, to take a look at some of the things that they're considering. So we understand that there has to be a good partnership. And we've got a ton of great components in place. I mean, Fox has been working with the NFL since the mid-'90s. Eric Shanks is good friends with Roger Goodell and DeMaurice Smith. We've got those contacts, those connections. We can reach out through our front office with our scouts and our general managers. We can get into any of the 32 NFL teams, for evaluation, for recommendation, for information. So we're going to have a great relationship with the NFL moving forward. But we will always consider ourselves as a standalone professional football league that hopefully, continues to build that relationship with the NFL and grow that relationship with the NFL. There's some things that we're talking about internally that hopefully will come to fruition, and we'll be able to share that with you that I think is going to be a game changer for both of us. And that's what you want to do, right? We want to create that synergy with them where it's a relationship that benefits both sides.
So for the Zoom audience, if you have a question, please use your raise hand function. Daryl, I'll ask one for you. Can you talk a little bit about the news this morning about the USFL coming around for year two and beyond?
Yeah, it's been funny. Everybody's been asking, with the end of the regular season and us, finishing that and now doing our playoffs here in Canton, even internally, even, with our coaching staffs and some of our non-playoff teams, hey, what is going on for year two? And Eric Shanks had a great article in the Wall Street Journal today. Is it the Wall Street Journal, the business? SBJ, yeah, Sports Business Journal. And it was about year two, that question for year two. And I think the one thing that's going to excite everybody, in our league and our family that hears this is Eric is not talking about just year two, but beyond year two. There's a commitment here that has been talked about in the other leagues. I've been a part of the Alliance. I've been a part of the XFL previously, and there were talks about year two and year three in both of those leagues, and they didn't make it to those years. To hear Eric Shanks talk about that today, this is the opportunity that we've all been waiting for. When you have somebody like that say, we're not only looking at year two, but we're pressed on to year three. We're committed for this moving forward into the future. That's been the really exciting thing for us is the way that they've rolled this out. And the hub model, does it present challenges for everybody internally? Absolutely. There's some things that we could have never expected or never, considered being, something that was going to happen. And we've been able to work through those in real time. And one of the things I'm so proud about our team is how they've handled that adversity. Just logistically trying to have 8 teams, practicing at 4 locations and how our schedule is from day to day, through a 10-week regular season. I mean, there was no margin for error, but that gives us the opportunity to get on some really sound financial footing in year one and step out. Now, the big thing is we saw the impact that the USFL had in the city of Birmingham, but especially for the Birmingham Stallions as a team. The energy inside Protective Stadium is very, very different when the Stallions are playing as opposed to when some of our other teams are playing. And that's to be expected. And we kind of tease Skip that, you may be listed as the away team on the schedule, but everybody knows Birmingham had 10 home games. We would love to provide that opportunity for somebody else in our league because it was just so fun to watch that. And the Birmingham games were great. And then as the year progressed, we actually started to see an uptick for the Michigan Panthers, for the New Jersey Generals, for the Houston Gamblers. The other teams, the city of Birmingham started to find that adopted son out there that, hey, if Birmingham's not playing, I want to go see somebody else the next day. So, I really enjoy the Houston Gamblers. They're not finishing those games and having success. But I tell you what, they play a really fun brand of football and everything's a tight game. So we just know how important that is. And we'd love to be able to do that in more than one location next year.
Daryl, I think we're going to cut it off at that. I want to say thank you on behalf of everybody for helping us get here to the championship game on Sunday.
A lot of that credit goes to those guys who were here before me. It's been a blast, but you as well, Darren. As a guy that's out there coordinating everything. This is when I've told everybody. I mean, this is next Sunday night. Make sure we take the time to celebrate what we've accomplished this year. I was a part of 3 Super Bowls in Dallas, and I think all of us to this day regret that we immediately turned our attention to the next season, and we never took the time to celebrate what we had just done. It was not easy to win a Super Bowl, but there were high expectations on our team, so we immediately went to let's get ready for the next opportunity. I've talked to everybody about this. On July 3rd, after the championship game, let's make sure we take the time to celebrate what we've accomplished and pat each other on the back because it's been a lot of hard work by a lot of really, really good people that's gotten us to this point.
Thank you, Daryl. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. We really appreciate it, and we hope you tune in 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Sunday. See the Philadelphia Stars play the Birmingham Stallions for the USFL Championship game. Thank you.